Hello and welcome to a bonus episode of Culture Shark, live stream about all things pop culture. I'm Final Monkey.
Caleb.
Whoa, Caleb's mic is out of control. Let's
Oh,
try that again. He's very loud, coming in
oh,
very
am
loud.
I?
Okay, now you're good.
Okay. And I'm Caleb.
There was a crazy stream that popped up last week. First, I didn't know what was going on. They just were showing like the back of actors' chairs. I'm like, okay, what is this? But Marvel did a 5.5 hour stream where they just showed the back of chairs revealing the cast of Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday. It was kind of ridiculous. There were some neat little haha jokes in there, like Ant-Man's chair was smaller than everybody else's. But
I was gonna ask you, do you think that it was warranted?
well, I know why they did it. They did it because for 6 hours straight they would be trending on X or Twitter or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's why they did it. But I think the payoff was not good enough because everybody's like, "Oh, what's gonna happen at the end? Is there gonna be like a little trailer?" So that was building up hype, and then the last thing that was, "Oh, Robert Downey Jr. walks out and says shh, and production's now started." That that was not worth the. Once you realize the X-Men were in the movie, it was like, "Oh, cool. Oh, then we're just gonna get a bunch of X-Men announcements for the next 3 hours."
Yeah.
And so it would be better if it said "and the X-Men" and just had all their names listed right then, and make this like a 2 hour stream or something.
Honestly, you could have made this
A
an
5 minute stream.
you could have made this an email.
Yeah, press release. This was a press release that they turned into 5.5 hours.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think it was. I mean, yes, it did get people talking, but then by the end, everybody's just disappointed. You're like,
Yeah,
oh,
people were talking about it for those 5 hours, and I haven't heard anyone talk about it since.
yeah. So, um, in the chat, let me 1 second. Let me find the picture.
I mean, and here's the thing: we're talking about it, but that's just because I want to dunk on it. Um,
Well,
because I don't know, man. I
here.
if anything, this casting announcement made me less excited because of the lack of characters.
So here's one of the. This is one of my things that I do every time. I'll get excited for a project, and I'll come up with something way better than we eventually get.
Yes,
And
yes.
and that is kind of what this episode is going to be. Is we're going to look at the casting announcement, look at why I think names are missing, and then talk about just by going by the comic books and some things that we've heard where I think the story is going and what we're going to get. I could be completely wrong. I was completely wrong about what eventually got Infinity War. Yes, they did borrow some from Infinity Gauntlet, but at the end of the day, they made a lot of changes. So they're not going to follow the comic book directly. They never do. Um, so found the picture. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Let me save that. Do this. Let me see if I remember how to do this. They keep changing StreamYards, so I have to figure out what they have changed. The other thing is just because it's showing for us, it may not be showing for you at home. There's still a lot of bugs with this new stuff. So real quick, I'm gonna pull up our stream on a second tab and just see.
Oh,
Oh, you
this
know what?
isn't.
This is pre-recorded. It'll probably be fine then. Usually, if you pre-record with this, it's fine. Here's
Yeah.
the cast though they announced. We have the Thunderbolts. We have the Fantastic Four.
Mine is Taskmaster. Wonder where she's at.
She well, I'm sure she'll be in Secret War. She's fine.
Her
Don't worry about
her
her.
her planet needed her. You know.
Yeah, yeah. She went back to her home planet. Her ship crashed. Was never seen again. We got M'Baku. I keep forgetting that Shuri is technically Black Panther. We have Namor. We have, I guess, what you could call the Avengers. We have Captain Falcon, Thor, Ant-Man, Shang-Chi, maybe an Avenger. Beast could be an Avenger. He has been in the past, but I mean, for a movie called Avengers, there's not a whole lot of Avengers in this.
This is. I'm gonna say it like this. This is a movie that these are the side characters. You have a movie. You have a movie with 50 people in the cast, and they're all side characters.
So I think the two biggest omissions on this list are Jean and Storm. For what we have, ignoring the big characters that are missing, like Wolverine, Deadpool, whatever.
Well,
If
I
you,
mean, and then Strange and Spider-Man.
yeah. But I think if you're getting all the old X-Men, where are Jean and Storm? I think that maybe they're still negotiating with them and they just haven't signed the contracts yet. That's why they didn't get announced.
Which is weird because I feel like Halle Berry is always wanting to come. Like she came back to Days of Future Past, no problem.
I also think that there could be stuff they're keeping us for a surprise.
I hope so because this sucks.
Like Chris Evans, I think you could see him be in the movie, but they want to keep that a secret.
Yeah.
So why I don't know why Mark Ruffalo's not in this. That's very weird. I feel like he'll definitely be in Secret Wars, but I don't know. Hawkeye, that makes some sense why he's not here. And then Black Widow, with her suing Marvel in real life, we may never see her again ever. So, don't know.
And she's dead, so they got an out for that too.
Yeah. So why? Let's start with Tom Holland. Why is he not in this? Well,
I think that's just because they have never, ever since Homecoming, they've never known what they're doing with Spider-Man.
I think the bigger issue is there's a Spider-Man movie coming out next year, and he's filming that instead of this. That is the correct answer. So I feel like if you remember when what was it, Ant-Man 2 came out, it happened at the same time that Infinity War was happening. So when the snap happened in Infinity War, it affected that movie. So I think there's going to be something in this movie that's going to affect the Spider-Man movie at the same time.
Which is unfortunate because we're all really hoping that the next Spider-Man movie was a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, and I'm kind of losing that hope.
Yeah.
So there's probably another Marvel movie before Doomsday. I'm like 90% sure it's Doctor Strange 3, and that's why he's not in this. So both of those actors are off doing their movies. That's why they're not in this.
Yeah,
They're
which
probably saving Deadpool and Wolverine either as a surprise for this movie or they're saving them for Secret Wars.
same for I think same with Toby.
I feel like Photon is most likely in this movie. I think that Brie Larson's probably out. And I don't know about Miss Marvel. They're probably saving her for some Marvel TV series. Because Photon was with Beast at the end of the Marvels movie, right?
Yes.
So she's with the X-Men. So I think she'll at least have a cameo in this. I would hope, or I would assume. Loki's another big surprise. So let's get into what all this means.
I real quick,
Uh-huh.
you haven't seen Loki, right?
I've seen season 1.
Okay, do you know how season 2 ends?
He becomes like the storyteller or something, like he's controlling everything or something.
He's not controlling everything. Essentially, he who remains had like a fail safe put in place, where if the branches got too much, it would erase every branch except for the sacred timeline. And Loki and the team are like, no, every universe deserves to live. And so no matter how much they tried, they couldn't they couldn't save every universe without every universe destroying each other. So essentially, what Loki decides to do is he leaves everyone, and he starts to grab each timeline like a strand, and he makes the life tree Yggdrasil out of all of the timelines. So essentially, he's like Atlas holding up the world.
Hmm.
So that's kind of where he's at. Is he's just kind of Atlas holding up the world, but it's all of the timelines.
Right. So I think this again, this we basically have four teams here that they've announced, and it's kind of disappointing. We have the Thunderbolts, we have, I guess they're the Avengers, Fantastic Four, and X-Men.
Do you know what this really gives me the vibes of? Um, the Defenders on Netflix. The Defenders. Well, the last thing to come out before Defenders was Iron Fist, and then you watch the Defender, and everyone hated Iron Fist because Iron Fist is trash. Then you watch Defenders, and then it turns out that Iron Fist is the main character of Defenders. It turns out that everything about Defenders relies on Iron Fist. And so it seems like with Thunderbolts and the Fantastic Four and the new Avengers that Sam is going to put together, they are putting all of their chips in this movie on unproven teams.
So was there 27 characters here? Just going by comic books, which characters matter? We got Doctor Doom and Thor. Um, nobody on the rest of row one. Nobody on the rest of row two. Loki, Beast, the Fantastic Four, fine. And then I'd say, yeah, the X-Men on the bottom.
Yeah,
You can
and
argue whether Gambit's a main character or not, but yeah.
which
So I mean, half of these people don't matter that you've announced.
and even so, the Gambit thing is going to upset me because uh, they like they're going to bring him back to just die as a joke, and that's not cool.
Well, and they're describing this X-Men timeline is as similar to the Daredevil one, where it's not exactly the Netflix show, but it technically is. So it's not exactly the X-Men movies, but it technically is.
Well, so that's what it was going to be. They have confirmed that the Daredevil stuff is canon and what goes into Born Again. The old writing was
Yeah.
what you said. So,
Okay.
which I think that it's because they realized that that's a mistake.
Yeah. So the X-Men franchise is murky at best, which timeline's the real timeline and whatnot. They have screwed up that timeline so much that it's hard to say. So I think they can kind
Yeah.
of just get away with, oh, here's the X-Men, don't worry about it. So let's go ahead and pull up the PowerPoint I made, and
Yeah.
we'll kind of get into what happened in the comic books and how I think they will adapt this. Again, this is mostly
And
speculation based on some things we've heard behind the scenes, but
and just so that way everyone else knows, this is how I know it's not going to go, and the reason I know that is because he's predicting
yeah,
it.
yeah. Like I said, historically, I've gotten things completely wrong.
You
So,
and to your credit, you write better than they do.
so first off, Caleb, have you ever read the second Secret Wars, which is technically like the sixth Secret War, but whatever.
So
The
have
Kingsman Secret
have
Wars.
I have not. The only
Okay.
I've only read Secret Wars, which is the first one, which is the bad one.
I
Um,
like the first one, dang it.
it's the bad one. Um, and then I have read Secret War, which is the Nick Fury one about Latveria.
I have read Secret Wars 2, which is the bad one. There is technically a Secret War 3 that's an issue of Fantastic Four. There's the Bend of Secret War. There's this one. I feel like there's another one I'm forgetting. But anywho, so what you kind of said with Loki kind of starts having the comic books where there's something going on to the universes where these multiverses are colliding into each other. And it's kind of like Highlander, there can only be one. So they're wiping each other out. And this was kind of mentioned in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. The Illuminati mentioned this. And at the end of the movie, not Gila, um,
Clea.
Clea, thank you. Clea uh, goes and gets Doctor Strange, and they go deal with one of those. So I think that's Doctor Strange 3 is what they are setting up.
Yes.
So this is some images of the comic books where incursions are happening. This is the Ultimate Universe, realizing that another universe is coming into their reality. So this is the character we are seeing is the Maker. So if you don't know who the Maker is, this is a version of Mr. Fantastic, who basically became evil, and it's one of the best characters in comic books. We love the
And
Maker.
it is a character that here's the thing. Part of me is like, I hope they do the Maker, but part of me is also like, there's no way that you can adapt the Maker properly in a film series. There's too much.
So there's a disagreement going on between the superheroes about what to do with these incursions. Like Black Panther and Iron Man are like, we have to kill the other multiverse. And Captain America's like, no, we cannot kill innocent people just for our survival. And so there's this disagreement going on between them. They eventually, I think they mind wipe Captain America that this ever happened and just kick him out of the Illuminati and just make him forget all this happened.
Captain America doesn't seem like an Illuminati guy anyway.
Yeah, I think they brought him in because it was getting too big, the situation. They had to bring the Avengers into it. And once they did, he was like, nope, I'm out. So here we see the Maker realizes it's happening. So he starts developing his own plans to prevent this. You go to the next slide. Uh, we see Black Panther seeing an incursion happen in the 616 universe. And so you can hop back real quick.
Oh,
So these incursions are happening. We know they're going to happen in the movies. They've been mentioned. It's mentioned at the end of Captain America 4. Leader says, "Hey, this is about to happen to blah blah
hello,
blah."
Ross.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Oh God, they're gonna have to bring him back, aren't they?
so I can 100% guarantee that the incursions are in the MCU story. We know from behind the scenes and judging by the casting, and I've been saying this for years, this is going to be the Fox universe versus the MC universe to see who survives. You can go to the next slide. So I do think this is going to be our Doomsday is going to be largely our Captain America, not Captain America, Avengers versus X-Men type movie, with the Thunderbolts kind of caught in the middle. I think this is what Doomsday is going to be, and trying to decide which universe exists. And I think the movie will end with the universe getting destroyed, like all of it. And that, so, how do you top the snap? You destroy everything. If you destroyed half the stuff in Snap, destroy everything in Doomsday. So
Yeah.
that's my guess for where we're going. It's very similar to what happened in the comic books. But what happens is, okay. If you want to comment on anything, go ahead before I jump ahead.
I'm with you so far. Um, that like this is probably where it's going. If if I'm being honest though, it's one of those things. I don't know if I told you this, or if I told all my friends this, but it may have been you. One of my biggest fears is they're just gonna make a movie that is like a sincere version of what they were making fun of in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Kind of. I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine dealt with all the remnants from universes, like the trash. And so, I mean, I think this is what they're setting up in what you described in Loki, where the branches are all getting tangled together, and it's eventually can only be one tree. What was happening in the comic books behind the scenes were, um, each universe had a Beyonder, and each universe had a Molecule Man. And if you killed a Molecule Man, then all the other Molecule Mans got stronger, and that would wipe out that universe. So there was this whole thing with the Molecule Mans and Doom and stuff going on behind the scenes. I don't think they're going to use the Molecule Man at all in this. We'll get to that here in a little bit.
I've heard the Loki theory, but if that's the way it was working in that, then it's not going to be that in this.
Right. I think. Well, we'll get to it in a little bit, but basically, to save all the multiverses that everything explodes here in a minute, Doctor Doom creates a new universe. And that's what Secret Wars is, and he's like the god. Doctor Strange is his right-hand man, the sheriff, and then behind the throne is Molecule Man providing him the powers to do all this. So
You think
flip,
Loki's going to
I
be...
think Loki's going to be in the Molecule Man place somehow.
Do you think that Strange is going to be the one to be the right-hand man? Like, I don't...
Because this is the character they've set up. Infinity War, in Endgame, he told Iron Man, "There's only one way to save the universe. I have to sacrifice myself." And he held up the finger one. This is the only way he can save the multiverse is by siding with Doom and being his right-hand man. And we know he would do that based on what he did in Infinity War. Okay, so let's go to the next slide here.
Which is unfortunate, because if we're talking about like the character who has the capability of leading a team, right now we just have Doctor Strange. And if we have an actor who has the capability of headlining a movie, right now that's Benedict Cumberbatch. At least as a protagonist, other than RDJ as Doctor Doom.
Yeah. There's a whole lot more to the story. I'm simplifying this Avenger story. It's Jonathan Hickman, so it gets very complicated. There's a group that worships Doom and all that. There's a whole other thing going on here. I'm gonna leave all that out because they're gonna simplify this as much as they can to make an audience understand this. So the question is, what is Spider-Man doing during this? I think multiverses are colliding. He may meet some other Spider people. Most likely, he will meet this is a theory that's going around online. I agree with it. That Sadie Sink is playing Mayday Parker, Spider Girl, and this is the daughter of Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst. They're Peter and MJ.
Which that I am totally down for. Getting her to play Tom Holland's Mary Jane Watson, I don't know.
There was theories that she was going to be Mary Jane or Firestar or Gwen Stacy.
I could see
Black Cat.
But here's the thing: when it comes down to that, I know that Sadie Sink is like 24 or something like that. She still looks like the kid from Stranger Things, you know?
It is weird. Yep. Yeah, so I think the villain is going to be Mr. Negative. And I think like you can skip the next couple pictures and go to Mr. Negative. Or where'd you put him?
I put him in order the way you sent them.
Okay. So these should have been the Spider-Man section. It's fine. Because I was thinking, how would you do Mr. Negative in the comic books? Well, what if you had what's his real name?
Martin Lee.
Martin Lee. So what if you had a Martin Lee from one universe where he was evil and one where he's good, and somehow they get merged together, and then that's how you just do it in the movie. He's two different versions of him in the multiverse got mixed together, and now he switches between regular one and Mr. Negative or something.
And I'm gonna once again, I'm gonna go ahead and just put it out there, Marvel. If you were smart, please get Steven Yeun to play Martin Lee.
Well, they had him to play the Sentry, and then whatever reason it fell through. So
I'm hoping it's because I'm hoping it's because they're like, hey, you can play Mr. Negative.
Yeah.
did you want to go to the?
So let's go to the alien symbiote on Secret Wars. So this is the other dangling plot line that's out there. At the end of Spider-Man uh, No Way Home, a piece of the symbiote got left behind. That's a big part of Secret Wars is Peter getting the suit.
Yeah, well, and okay, so and the thing about Secret Wars, the bad one, is it's also a dumb reason as to why he gets the suit.
Right, but they've raised up the MCU that there's just it's just out there somewhere in the
Yeah,
MCU right
well,
now.
and that's one of the things. So I dunk on the MCU all the time because they make horrible decisions. They make bad movies. Um, I give them credit where it's due. I like it, you know.
Yeah,
Like. Here's the thing. I will still prefer it to either be a meteorite. I will prefer it to be a cure for cancer that
yeah.
Peter's dad. Like I'll prefer something like that. But if you want to do Secret Wars and you want to make the introduction of the black suit in Secret Wars because of a multiversal thing, this is the way to do it. I'm down with it.
So, and I've heard this rumor too. This is not just me saying this. We've seen the suit before. We've seen the Venom story before. So how do you make it different when you do the anti-Venom story? And so that's why you have Mr. Negative. If he touches the suit, it'll flip to the white suit. Um, so I think this will probably be more how he looks in the movies.
I thought this was so. This is the anti-venom suit.
Well, this is actually the
Fu-
Future Foundation suit, but I'm
That's what
thinking
I
that
thought.
I think they're going to do the same thing where when Mr. Negative touched Venom in the comics, he became anti-Venom. I think that's how they'll do this.
Yeah. Which actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, what's funny is what you're describing as far as the Spider-Man stuff. You are describing Insomniac Spider-Man 2.
I know nothing about that game, so
Yeah. It's not great. Just play the first one and you're good. But yeah, no, you are describing Insomniac Spider-Man 2, actually.
and so I don't know what the plot of this is. Maybe Tom Holland's Spider-Man is going to see other multiverses where things worked out with Mary Jane, things didn't work out with Mary Jane, whatever. So he's still trying to figure out: do I tell Michelle that who I am and restart that or not? I fear it'll be something like that. And then, so him meeting his potential daughter, you know, that's just how they'll hook all this together. And then as he's about to make the decision to tell her, the world will end or something. The whole world just explodes. So let's go back to the way I had it. Let's see. Okay. So this is the life raft. So I think the Fantastic Four, I'm of two thoughts. Either at the end of the Fantastic Four movie, they end up in the MCU because Galactus destroys their world, or they defeat Galactus and then find out, oh, the incursions are happening. What are we going to do? And Reed builds this ship. Or Galactus is destroying the world and he builds this ship to get away, and he ends up in the they end up in the MCU. But this is how they will escape. Think of this like as Noah's Ark. This is how they escape when the world ends.
How do you think Galactus will play into this?
Originally, before they announced all this, I thought that Galactus was just going to destroy, like the Fantastic Four lose at the end of the Fantastic Four movie, and they have to escape to a new reality. And so I don't think Galactus will. Maybe, I don't know. He might play a role in Secret Wars, but I don't know.
Because and this is one of this is like I'm not a huge fan of Galactus. But one of the things that I like about Galactus is he is the only one. Like out Galactus doesn't have variants, right? Galactus is just uh
It's a force of nature. He's not
yeah,
good or evil. He just
yeah,
is.
yeah, and he uh and so he doesn't have variants. He just he goes from world to world, from universe to universe, eating planets, you know?
Yeah. So, um, yeah, I haven't thought about Galactus. I don't know if he'll play a role. I mean, maybe that's how they defeat Doom at the end. Galactus shows up and just eats him or something. I don't know.
Oh, well,
Um,
and I mean, so they're definitely not going to do this, but like one of my favorite things about Secret Wars, the bad one, um, is whenever they're talking about like if uh, if Galactus wins, because in the original Secret Wars, it was akin to a contest of champions, and whoever wins got a wish. Um, and so Galactus's wish was gonna be to stop the hunger, and they're like, "Well, do we just let him win?"
yeah.
Be- yeah, that was a big question.
Yeah, and I mean this is way off topic. They later set up, and they kind of set this up in the MCU that Galactus actually serves a purpose that the Celestials have, um, for lack of a better way to say this, they've impregnated planets with baby Celestials. So every planet has a Celestial inside of it, and so part of what Galactus is doing is he's going around wiping out all these Celestials before they're born and eating them all. And so that's why he keeps trying to eat Earth, is there's a celestial inside, which they revealed in the Eternals movie. So
Which,
that's
if you
way off topic.
and to get even more off topic, it's kind of like an egg, and
Uh-huh.
so he could crack open Earth, and there'd be a little yolk of a celestial.
Uh-huh.
He could scramble that.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Galactus serves a purpose in the universe. Anyhow, we're way off topic from what I wanted to talk about. um, Reed has built a life raft, so he will save people from the MCU. So he'll probably pick up like Spider-Man and whoever. On the flip side, the maker is doing the same thing with the Fox universe. So he'll probably save Wolverine and Deadpool, and he's not gonna be able to save everybody, but he's gonna pull certain people out to save them. So this is the lifeboat that hatched in the comic books, or the life raft. You got Spider-Man, Miles Morales survived. Um, so Reed's ship was all like heroes, although part of the ship got destroyed. So he lost like his family, like the Fantastic Four people all got sucked out, and he lost them. Um, and so the makers is the Cabal. It's like Thanos and all these. You can go back to. I don't have a picture of the Cabal.
Oh, okay.
So the makers is all like bad guys, but Miles Morales has snuck aboard. I don't think Miles Morales will be involved in these, but that could be Spider-Man 4. They did set up that the Prowler has a nephew, blah blah blah. So if you'll jump to the last pictures I added of the maker, we'll talk about him real quick. Yeah. So here's the life. Who's in the life rafts in both their life rafts? So on the
Oh,
left you have
did you want me
Reed's.
to show that?
You can show this too. This is the. I hope this is an Avengers Doomsday, although they did not announce Bradley Cooper. Maybe this will be in Secret Wars.
Maybe
So
if
you can see
if
he
James
has.
Marsden survives.
Yeah. So there's different, like there's Jane Foster's Thor. There's Star Lord. There's different people. On Reed's
Oh,
side.
you know what I hope? I hope the costume, like, because like, so they could do like the yellow and blue for Cyclops. I gotta be honest, I'd rather save those costumes for like when they actually do X-Men.
Hmm.
For this, I want them to do like the all new, like Cyclops was right X-Men costume with
Hmm.
with the X mask. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Like
Yep.
like this is like save the comic book accurate costumes for like when you're actually doing X-Men. Now's the time to get with the weird costumes, you know?
Yeah. So this is just an example of the different lifeboats or life rafts of the people who they would rescue.
Who's
Um,
Chaboy below Thanos there? Who's got like the weird eyebrows?
I'm sure one of them is Maximus the Mad. I
This one
don't
right here.
know if that's Namor, maybe below Thanos. I don't know. Well,
I
that
thought,
guy's Maximus the Mad, I think.
okay, I was like, because I think this is Namor.
Yeah.
Um,
So if we go to the next panel, so this is the perfect time to bring back Miles
Teller.
Teller from the failed Fantastic Four movie. He would be perfect as the Maker. You can go to the
Yeah.
next slide of just what the Maker looks like. Um, it would be a great way to bring him back and
It,
and that'd be a way to save people from the Fox universe when the Secret Wars, when the
yeah.
universe ends. And so he's got his lifeboat, and Reed's got his lifeboat of characters from the MCU. And so now we
Uh,
end up in a battle world at that point.
and it'd be a way to like Miles Teller did not. So nobody in that movie deserved Fan Four Stick.
Hmm.
Um, Miles Teller's a good actor, you know.
Yeah, he would be. Yeah, he would be great as the villain. I hope they bring him back. So let's hop back, 'cause we got our slides a little out of order, to the one where Doom's on the throne. So the universe is going to end. Doom's going to make a new world called Battle World, and what the world is going to be pieces of each multiverse sewed together. And so he'll be married to Sue. He has, his kids. Spoilers: he turns Johnny into the sun. He makes a wall to protect himself from the other multiverse areas. The wall's made out of Thing's body, and Reed is just missing. He doesn't know that. He thinks that he wiped out Reed, but Reed's in the lifeboat. He doesn't realize that yet. So what happens to Doctor Strange 3? Strange and Doom are going to come up with this plan to use Loki to save the multiverse.
So do you think? So we got a Fantastic Four trailer that did not have Doctor Doom in it. Are you thinking that that Doom is going to make his first appearance in Strange 3?
No, Doom was first appearance will be in Doom's. Well, maybe. When does the unannounced Marvel movie come out? Hmm, that's a good question. I don't know when Doctor Strange 3 comes out. I haven't looked at the calendar lately. I think Doom is going to come from a world where he's dealing with his own Fantastic Four, and he's just gonna be like, "Oh, another Fantastic Four. I know how to deal with these people," or whatever, Or the
Which
Fantastic.
is funny because that's kind of what they were trying to do with Kang, where
Mhm.
he's like, "Avengers, have I killed you before?" You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's kind of what they were trying to do. So I could definitely see them doing that, where like he comes from a place where he's already taken care of his Fantastic Four. In fact, maybe the Sue that he's married to is not the Sue that we're going to be acclimated with in the movie. Maybe it's a different Sue.
could be. Very well could be, because a lot of Battle World is Doom recreating everything how he wants it. So the only people unaffected by that are the people in the life rafts. So they kind of just crash land. Now they're starting rebellions against Doom.
Hmm.
Go to the next panel. Let's see what I got here. So this is just Sheriff Strange, the sheriff of
Sheriff of
Agamotto.
Agamotto.
Yeah, so I could definitely see them doing something like this where Strange is his right hand man.
Hmm.
And what once Strange is the one of the only ones that knows that all this. He remembers the old universe. No one else does, except unless you're in the life raft. So once he encounters the life raft, then he starts a rebellion against Doom, and Doom ultimately kills Strange in the story. So
How do you think? Because like making Battle World seems like the equivalent of the Snap, right? And it seems like it would require some sort of Deus Ex Machina MacGuffin thing. How do you think they create Battle World?
I think Doom is going to do something to the TVA where he merges everything into one, and it just like enters the tree and combines everything. Somehow he's going to combine all the energy into one. How he does that, I have no idea.
Because I have, if you think about it, I've heard some people talk about this. I don't think it's going to be this, but if you think about it, we don't have much to go off of. The only MacGuffins that we have right now are the Ten Rings and the Miss Marvel bangles.
Yeah, and that goes back to if you're maybe Mr. If Mr. Negative is the villain, of him figuring out how to combine things. Maybe Doom uses that technology to start combining things. That's just pure speculation. I have, that's just me pulling that out of my butt. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Go to the next slide real quick.
Well, I mean, fun fact, Feige's doing the same thing right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is Molecule Man again. Each universe had a Molecule Man. I think they're gonna. I
I
don't think
could,
that. I don't
I,
think they have time to introduce him. It's kind of like doing Infinity Gauntlet without Adam Warlock. He's crucial to the story. They're just gonna skip him.
I could see, them giving Loki a costume similar to this though, as like an homage.
Sure. Yeah, I could see that. Go to the next slide. So this is Battle World. It's hard to read on there, but each of those little numbers are like different timelines, like Age of Apocalypse or Days of Future Past or Marvel Zombies or just little things. So I think to kind of give you an idea how so this is going to have like Fantastic Four land, Ghost Rider land, Daredevil land. They're pieces of those, or Blade, pieces of those different movie universes kind of sewing together and being crammed together.
And spoiler alert, this is the One Piece.
Yes, this is One Piece Battle World. And you can see down there at the bottom, I think, that wall, that's Thing's body that's been stretched out to protect them, like from the Marvel zombies. Like there's a huge, like Black Panther leads an army of Marvel zombies against Doom in the story and stuff. So, one of the things they do in the comic book, which they may do in the movie, is they have the Thor Corps, and they're like the police force. They're all these Thors from different realities. So you'd have like Jane Foster Thor, Beta Ray Bill Thor, all that stuff. So that you could see
I'm
that happen.
trying to think. Has there been like, is Chris Hemsworth our only live action Thor?
We had Jane.
Jane, yes.
I think that's
Um,
been it so far. Well, we had the Thor from the Trial of Bruce Banner or Trial of the Incredible Hulk back in the 80s.
he was in that.
Yes. Or no, he's in. No,
Death,
that's
right?
that's Daredevil.
Yeah, Daredevil's in
There's
trial.
there's three there's three Hulk movies. The Death one doesn't have anybody, but there's one that has Thor in it. There's one that has Thor in it, one has Daredevil in it. I can't remember what
Let's
the Thor one
see.
is called. But you could get crazy here. You could have the Generation X movie. You could have
Incredible
Howard the
Hulk
Duck.
Returns.
Yeah, the Incredible Hulk Returns has Thor in it.
Oh, this would be. I just found the costume. This would be so funny to put in the movie.
Yeah, and it's that actor that you see, and like he played Little John in Men in Tights, Robin Hood Men in Tights.
He
Um,
was the dad in Good Luck Charlie.
yes, yes. You also had the Thor from Adventures in Babysitting, if you want to get really crazy. Um, so there
Played
have
by
been,
played by Vincent D'Onofrio.
yes,
Oh
it
my
all ties
god!
together.
Oh my god! Oh my god! So I mean, like, honestly, this
That
is
would be
not.
a funny joke if you had a Thor played by Vincent D'Onofrio, just as a nod
Yeah, yeah,
to Adventures in
yeah.
Babysitting. He's
This
a
is
mechanic.
Yeah, like, so this is not the Thor Corps. This is the Dad Squad. That's
Yeah.
oh man,
So
he's just going around Battle World, turning off the lights in each room.
so I could see like a Hulk section where it's She-Hulk and Maestro Hulk and Scar and and Red Hulk, and so there's gonna be all these little areas everybody lives in Doom's perfect world. And then once the life raft happens, that's when everything starts unraveling. They start saying, no, this is wrong, and there's an Infinity Gauntlet involved and everything else. It's gonna get crazy.
At this point, have we gotten to Secret Wars? Like,
Yeah, I've switched over to the movie Secret Wars at this point. And once the universe ends, I think that's how Doomsday ends. And
okay,
then your post-credit scene is Doom creating Battle World.
okay.
I think that's how I would do it. If you're gonna, I would do this in several more movies than this, but they're just gonna cram it all into. So like you can see like Nowhere be part of this planet, the Guardians of the Galaxy place, and just all kinds of stuff. So ultimately, go to the next slide. Ultimately, this is going to come down to Reed versus Doom.
which is a rivalry that has not been established in this universe.
Exactly. But you can see how the different multiverses are all crashing together around them while this happens.
What happens to
Um,
the Maker at this point?
I was reading that earlier. He turns Reed into a monkey, and then the Molecule Man turns the Maker into sliced ham or something. It just takes him out, kills him. Lots of characters die in this. Like they kill Cyclops, they kill Mr. Sinister, they kill a bunch of people in the story.
So what is Doomsday then?
Doomsday is the end of the MCU.
Right, but like what's the plot?
The incursion between the Fox verse and the MCU verse. Only one could survive.
So it's just going to be a bunch of people fighting with no plot?
And Reed trying to figure out a way to either build the life raft or try to get survivors on there. Who can he save? I think that's the plot.
Huh.
If you're going by the comic books, that's what the plot is. And what we've kind of heard, this is an Avengers versus X-Men movie.
Yeah, and I
Which
mean,
again ruins the beautiful ending of Wolverine and Deadpool, or Deadpool and Wolverine, the closing credits of this is the end of the Fox verse.
yeah, and it also ruins the so here's the thing. We do something like Civil War. Civil War, and if you're a comic book fan, this isn't a hot take. If you don't know anything about comic books and you're a poser, this is a hot take. Civil War is a bad comic book.
Oh
And
wait, where's my band?
Civil War is a bad comic book. And so then we have to change. And here's the thing: they know Civil War is a bad comic book because whenever Civil War came out, they didn't adapt Civil War. Um, so uh, that's that. Avengers
So
versus X-Men is a great crossover, and we're gonna waste it on this.
yeah. Um so let's talk about Robert Downey Jr. real quick. Uh I think we will see him play a young Victor Von Doom, or you'll have another actor play. Well, no, it'll probably be him. They'll do the de aging technology. We'll see like his backstory where he becomes Doom. After that point, I don't think he takes off the mask the rest of the movies until the very end of this, where Reed gets the power of Molecule Man and starts rebuilding the multiverse. So if you go to the next slide, um, if I did this right, let's see. Yeah, so the story ends that Reed and his family go off, and they basically have the power of gods, and they are recreating the multiverse piece by piece. And he gives a gift to Doom at the end, where he fixes his face, and he becomes infamous Iron Man. And so at that point, you have Doom take off his mask. He's Robert Downey Jr. now, and you do infamous Iron Man at that point. Yeah, maybe. That's how I would do it if you're going to cast Robert Downey Jr. as Doom. Have I lost you?
Yep.
Okay. But this is how the story ends, and this is how you reboot the MCU, is that Mr. Fantastic is building a brand new universe, and you reboot everything at this point.
Yeah, it's so
And
weird.
the reason they did this in the comic books is because they were not allowed to use Fox characters or promote them at this point. So they canceled the Fantastic Four comic book, and this is how they took Fantastic Four out of the Marvel universe, because they were all rebuilding the multiverse.
Yeah, and it's so weird to give Reed godlike powers in his third appearance.
Right, right. If they had set him up more before then, and I guess they kind of established that Reed's important, and maybe it's not Reed at the end of the story. Maybe it's Loki, or I don't
Which,
know.
I mean, and if that's the case, then I mean, like it can't be Loki because then at that point you've just
Redone the ending to Loki season two.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's all I've really got from the comic books. I could, these are the different themes and ideas in there. There's also a plot with Molecule Man that the way they get him to switch sides is for some reason Miles Morales has a cheeseburger in his pocket, and Molecule Man's really, really hungry. So Peter and Miles meet Molecule Man, and he gives him the cheeseburger and befriends him, and that's how they get him to switch sides. It's really dumb. Um, I don't know why he had a cheeseburger in his pocket.
So what you're telling me is what you're so here's what you're telling me.
A
The
cheeseburger saved the universe.
the
Yes,
McDonald's product placement in Loki is a key plot point because they're going to seduce Loki back to the good side with a Big Mac.
yes. Or no, who won the jet ski? That was the other guy. That was
That was Mobius.
yeah. But it could be a jet ski that saves the universe. He's like Loki, the jet ski. Come on.
He's gonna look at all of Doom's work with Battle Wars and go, "Wow,
Wow, look at those jet skis.
oh man, it's." I mean, here's the thing. It is. I'm gonna be extremely blunt here because now that we're getting closer and closer, and we're getting to the point where we can uh theorize. It is becoming more and more clear just how effed up this universe is.
Right. They don't have this all set up correctly, especially the Fantastic Four and Doom. They are the key to this whole story. So the Fantastic Four movie is going to do some heavy lifting. Doomsday is going to have to do some heavy lifting, setting up Doctor Doom, and probably Doctor Strange 3 is going to do some heavy lifting.
Yeah, I mean, if they wanted to set this up properly, then it really should have been. So they're imagine introducing Iron Man. Like everything else is the same, but introducing Iron Man right before Infinity War.
Yeah.
Um, so they're
Kind of
trying.
like how they introduced Captain America right before Avengers. Like
Yeah,
if Iron Man was right before, yeah.
yeah. So if the way it should have been done with the tools that they had at the time, because if I'm being completely honest, we can thank all of this horrid stuff to the Fox buyout. Because they're like,
That
oh,
and firing James Gunn, I think are the two things that got us here.
yeah. So your main character of your next saga, I think it was.
Oh, and Kang getting fired. That also contributed to them changing
I
horses midstream.
A little bit, but at the same time, I think that putting all your ducks in Kang was a mistake even before that.
Also, I don't think they had it planned that far ahead at that point.
No, no.
They just said Secret Wars. We don't know what that means yet. We'll get there.
Yeah. They just. I mean, like at this, you know how Feige, like they always talk about how like he comes up with an action scene and they make a movie around that action scene. Now he doesn't even work that hard. Now he just comes up with movie titles.
This is what I think. So ignore everything I just said. I think the next, my plot is following the comic books. This is probably what we're going to get. We're going to get X-Men versus Avengers. Doom becomes a god at the end of the movie, and he builds Battle World. The final movie is everybody versus evil versions of the Avengers. So Doom is Iron Man. You have Captain Hydra. Chris Evans back as an evil Captain America. Hulk as Maestro. Maybe bring back Black Widow and Clint. I don't know. But it's going to be everybody versus evil versions of the Avengers is going to be what Secret Wars is.
Yeah, which is what the MCU is known for at this point is evil versions of the protagonists. Um,
Yeah.
but
So I just gave you a very simplified version of what happened in the comic books. Kind of would make sense if they, the pieces are there, do this in the MCU, but more realistically, we'll probably get evil versions of the Avengers versus everybody, and
yeah,
Wolverine and Spider-Man trying to fix everything. They'll be your two focal point characters.
which I mean, your focal point character should have been Strange this whole time. He was the out of any character that they had, he was the one that was primed and ready to like be your new Iron Man, your through line throughout the entire film series. Um, Ideally, it actually should be Spider-Man, but we know that they are limited with Spider-Man, no matter how hard they try. Uh,
So let me ask you this. So we're wrapping up here. Do you think this is how they reboot everything? And maybe they keep Tom Holland as Spider-Man, but that's kind of it. And we set up a new Phase Four, new X-Men, new everything from this point going forward.
oh, so you're saying that Pedro and all of them?
I think they signed on for 3 movies and they're out.
I could see that. I could see that, and I mean, honestly, I can see Holland being out too.
I could see, yeah, I could see all this being out. I think you get one more Spider-Man movie to wrap up kind of that story, and then you're
Yeah,
out.
yeah, because here's the thing: if you really want to do what it seems like they wanted to do with Spider-Man, which is you have the high school trilogy, the college trilogy, and then the adult life trilogy, you got to come out with them a little faster.
Yeah,
We the With the age that Tom Holland is at, we should be at either the end of the second trilogy or the beginning of the third trilogy at this point.
yeah. I think you have to reboot. I think a reboot's coming if you're gonna do X-Men, because you can't just keep doing the Fox X-Men over and over. I think it has to be a new story.
It's also got to be a new universe as well because I mean, imagine trying to introduce mutants into an already established
Yeah,
universe.
I think this is a full. Reed is going to rebuild, or whoever is going to rebuild the universe. Like, I'm going to merge everything together, and then you start out. I really think that you should just do all the next movies in the '60s. This is the Marvel universe starting, and just go. That's me. I know you don't like the future, whatever you called it, of the '60s, but
Retrofuturism.
yeah,
Um, I Here's the thing. I am cool with retrofuturism if it matches the tone of the universe itself. I'm not cool with retrofuturism even if it's in an alternate universe because it just doesn't match the film series that they've established thus far. If you establish from the get-go in your reboot that this is a retrofuturism Marvel thing, I'm totally down with it.
yeah.
Um, I and here's what I think is going to happen. I think that they'll reboot, recast everybody, start completely over, and what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to watch the Infinity Saga no problem, and then you'll be able to skip the Multiverse Saga.
Or just watch like 3 or 4 of the 20 movies, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Um, so those are my ideas based on some of my own theories and comics. I
And
am
those
often
are,
I
and I
am
was
off.
about to,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. I was about to say, and these are my dunks and complaints about the
And I
state.
am often wrong. Like, I had a lot of Lost figured out towards the end, but then some of it was just completely out there. Majora's Mask, or not Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, I had completely screwed up my ideas. So often I have good ideas, I think, but they're usually not what happens. So these were largely my theories. Bookmark this video, come back in 3 years and say, whoa, was Aaron right or not? I don't know. Um, but at the, like to get your ideas. Will they follow the comic books at all? Will Secret Wars just be Secret Wars in names only? Will it be more like the '80s series where it's just heroes and villains fighting each other? Just toy box being dumped out and just, hey, these characters I've never met. Let's see what happens. I
Do fun. Do you think that they bring in like Beyonder and Watcher at all?
If they bring in Beyonder at all, it is just as a MacGuffin of Doom is stealing his powers, and now the story starts. It really, it, if I was going by what they've set up in the MCU, I'd have Doom steal Scarlet Witch's powers, or get the book of whatever and
The Darkhold.
the Darkhold.
That's true. I keep forgetting that that's another MacGuffin that we have.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
And we've said, and we know Doom's a sorcerer. That would make sense if he somehow found a spell, or maybe that's part of Doctor Strange 3 is Doctor Strange and Doom work together to find a spell to save everything, and that's how Doom gets powerful.
Here's an interesting question because we're focusing just on the movies right now and how
Hmm.
it all kind of sort of not really but sort of leads up to Secret Wars and then a reboot, right?
Hmm.
But they're still in the midst of setting up Midnight Suns and Young Avengers.
Yeah, that's the thing, and those could be okay. So, what is the final Avengers movie? Is what 2027, 2027?
Yes.
So we got 2 years. They could do a Young Avengers and Disney Plus series while we're waiting for this all wrap up. They could do whatever. They got time.
Okay. It just it seems really
Weird.
yeah.
But we have seen this happen in comic books before, where they set up a big story like this, where it's going to reboot everything. Um, Crisis on Infinite Earths was supposed to reboot everything, and then some of the people did not get the memo, and things slipped through and didn't change.
Yeah.
And we could see something similar happen here.
Do you think that this is just an elaborate adaptation of uh like just an elaborate way of them adapt like it's the perfect adaptation of Marvel Comics from 2006 to 2014 or 2008 to 2014?
You mean the MCU as a whole, or what are you talking about?
So you know how like the big two are never good at the same time, right?
Uh
Like
huh.
like Marvel's good, DC's bad, DC's good, Marvel's bad. From 2008 to
Oh,
2014, Marvel was bad.
I
Uh,
see what you're saying.
and so this is just their elaborate way of adapting this is when an era is bad.
Well, the MCU has largely, I mean, they some stuff is from the '60s, but a lot of their storylines are modern storylines, Civil War and Winter Soldier, and they grab from recent stuff. So,
Which I guess you in theory you could say is the problem.
yep, there's a
Um,
lot of great stories they're skipping right over, or not setting up properly. They're just racing through them.
I think what you could do if you rebooted and started in the 60s, I think you might be able to do Annihilation as your first big story.
Maybe I don't know. I would just like to have them do simple stories that aren't connected for a while. Just have
Hey,
Spider-Man do Spider-Man stories, Fantastic Four do Fantastic stories, and if you want Avengers to deal with the big stuff, fine. That's kind of what they do, and then you have the Hulk do Hulk stories, please.
what? Hulk doesn't have movies.
Yeah, exactly. So
Is Paramount still an issue in that regard?
I've heard rumors that they've gotten the rights back, but then they're trying to figure out, do they want to do a? I've heard rumors of a World War Hulk movie, but I don't know how that would fit into all this. It doesn't seem to, unless you're just going to pull, if that's how you explain why Ruffalo's not in these stories. He's off doing World War Hulk. I don't know.
But at the same time, I've heard rumors that World War Hulk is an Avengers movie.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe that's part of the reboot. I don't know. Maybe that's your first story in the reboot. I mean, setting up Hulk as a misunderstood threat be one of the big challenges that the new Marvel Universe faces. That could be fun.
I mean, so you've read Millar's Ultimates recently, right?
I mean, it's been 20 years, but yes, I've
Oh,
I've read it.
oh, okay. For some
I read
on
it
the
when it was coming out. Yeah.
on the unlimited, I thought I saw someone read it recently. Maybe it was me.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, if you do remember, so the
Hulk,
first
the first
12.
mini Hulk's the bad guy, right?
Yeah, well, and so like it's a Shatari invasion, but the
Mhm.
Shatari invasion's not really a much of a threat.
It's
Um,
Hulk.
it really is Hulk. So
Yeah. And then you find out Loki's manipulating everything. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
that'd be if they we were so close because they were from phase one they were just doing ultimates, right? And
Yeah.
we were so close. We were so close to Ultimates 2.
And you know what happened? They fired the comic book think group that was behind the movies and got rid of them. And then it became the Kevin Feige show.
Yep. I hate that stupid ball cap.
So,
Not
uh,
him, not him, just the hat. Just the hat.
all right. So again, we want to hear your theories. Are we way off the, are we close? Are we way off? Are they going to do something completely different? Probably. But yeah, share your theories down below. And thanks for listening. I've been Final Monkey.
And I'm Caleb.
Catch you next time in the battle world.
See ya.